Hello, good afternoon. All going well. We're back live for the first time in a little while. Hope everyone's well. Hope you've all had a good August. Just going to do all of our usual checks. Let's have a little look. Yeah, everything seems to be working okay. Let me know if it isn't. Yeah, as you can see from the title, we're going to go through some of the sort of simpler aspects of wood carving. And I got a nice piece of wood in the vise, nice bespoke spoon, and I thought we'd sort of go through some of the sort of basics, the absolute basics to get started. I know it's something that we've gone over a few times, but it's always worth re-emphasising. Hello, the wood-burning warrior. Yeah, it has been a little while. I've been away. I've been in Spain with my wife's family. We've had a really nice time. It's been good to finally be able to see everyone. We hadn't seen anybody for 20 months. So thank you for joining us. But yeah, that's why we've had a bit of a break, and I never managed to find any Wi-Fi. Tommy's Workshop, thank you for joining us too. Glad that you're all here to join us. Really appreciate it, and it's great to have you here. So basically, what I'm going to do on this Lovespoon, just starting off for yourselves, and hopefully, because the idea, we leave all of the live streams live for people, and hopefully, as we're going along, if you can contribute, because I know you've all got different levels of experience, if you can contribute any ideas as well, that would really be useful to anybody who is learning wood carving. So, to go through the absolute basics, first thing you can see that I've done, I've marked out a few simple stop cuts. So what we do in there, well basically, as most of you already know, those stop cuts are just a simple cut down into the wood itself. What's the purpose of it? Well, the purpose of the stop cut is to give us a barrier to work up against. So we mark out that stop cut and then we cut into that barrier. Rob Sawyer, welcome. Oh, thank you, Sawyer Rob, thank you. Yeah, glad to be back and glad to be live streaming. I only managed to find one place with Wi-Fi while I was away in Spain, and I'm afraid to say that when I turned up, I set everything up to do my live stream, and I'd forgotten one cable. So that was the end of my live stream. It was the start and end, because I was going to do a live stream on designing. But there we are. That'll wait for another day. So it just wasn't meant to be. But the moral of the story is check your equipment before you travel. So there we are. But as you can see, we've marked out those stop cuts. So we've got all of that marked out. And we mark out as well with a vertical grain. So for anyone who is an absolute beginner, which I know most of you are not, but I'm thinking for people who watch this on playback, if you are an absolute beginner, the first things that we recommend is securing the wood in a vise, having a nice piece of wood to carve. So this one here is a nice piece of mahogany, ideal for what we're doing. And you mark it out with a vertical grain, and you try as much as you can to work with the grain. So you don't want to be fighting against it. Your tools then, when it comes to working with wood carving gouges, you'll see a lot of people when they first start, it almost looks like they are fighting with the tools and the wood. And what that is in time, you develop more ability and more experience. And what you're doing is trying to find the cutting angle of the chisel or gouge and get the gouge to do the work for you. So if you watch demonstrations and you think, wow, hopefully, from our point of view, hopefully it looks almost effortless when we're carving. And the reason that it should look that way is because we are using the gouge and getting the gouge to do the work for us. So if that's something you struggle with, is the sort of physical side of it, where where you almost feel like you're really battling it, that might be worth considering. Are you finding the cutting angle of your gouge itself? As always, yeah, if you've got any thoughts for helping out absolute beginners, let us know. Put it in the comments section. So hopefully when this is watched on playback, hopefully that will be useful to other people. So you can see we're just working in and around that daffodil, marking it all out. This piece of wood that we're working on is a reclaimed piece of mahogany. Nice wood to carve, beautiful timber for working in. We had it from a piece of furniture. Somebody actually rang us up. They had a piece of furniture that wasn't wanted and offered us the wood. So ideal for the job. Yeah.
Shall I bring this number up now?
I was thinking, I was going to ask you to do exactly that. Yeah, what it is, we've had an order and we just want to check the details. That's right. Yeah, I would ring her and check. I put 2 there to choose from because I wasn't sure if you'd be happy with the one, basically. So you can see another thing then that I do when it comes to carving and learning to carve, I sit to carve. And that's a lot of that is because I spend a lot of time carving, so I find it more comfortable for myself to sit. Dad, then he prefers to stand to carve. And again, then you got to find out what works best for yourself. Other things in terms of learning carving, some people like to have a number of projects on the go at the same time. Others prefer to concentrate on just one project. Whatever suits you best, that's the way to go. You've just got to find out what suits you as an individual. So, you can see we're just getting that bottom part of the daffodil and the sort of grass effect around it. We're just sorting that out. We then start to shape the trumpet of the daffodil. And again, if you're a beginner, the way we do that, we do our stop cuts down into the woods and then use a gouge just to cut into that stop cut. So you carve in, pull the gouge straight back. Same again, carve in, and pull the gouge straight back. Other things then, in terms of if you are learning carving, equipment. So we recommend sort of having just a couple of gouges to start off and some way of holding whatever you're working on, and also then some wood itself. But a method as well for cutting out. I like to stand to carve when at the workbench, but at my other workbench, I use my study mate stool that's very comfortable. Interesting, so you use both techniques. Similar, that is, to Dad. He stands and sits to carve as well. Yeah, I think we've all got sort of different preferences on it. It's whatever you're comfortable with as an individual. I think that's the point really on it, is that there's not a right or wrong. You know, whatever you're comfortable with, whatever you're happy with, use that as your technique. Because it's basically, the idea of this actually comes on the back of somebody asking me recently on YouTube. They were asking me about getting started, saying about they were a beginner and asking if they needed lessons. And there was a little bit of confusion as well because they'd spoken to a family member, and I think there was a bit of a mix-up between wood carving and wood turning, which of course are quite different things, as we all know. So you can see we're building up the shape of that daffodil. Another thing that's worth thinking of if you are starting out, and that's having some method of cutting out. I'm looking around the bench here. I can't see it. I was looking for my, yeah, there it is. A coping saw. So originally when Dad started the workshop, he would have used a coping saw to cut out. So we've got the coping saw still here, but of course what we use now and what we promote using is the scroll saw, which I gotta say, we're having one little issue at the moment with the scroll saw. No problem with the scroll saw itself. It's scroll saw blades. Unfortunately, our company that we've always bought our scroll saw blades off, they're no longer selling those blades, the Nikwa number 9 reverse tooth blades, which is extremely annoying, to be honest with you. And so we bought some off eBay, and unfortunately they're not the exact same blades that we use. So it's going to be fine for woods like this one, the mahogany, but when it comes to working in, for instance, oak, I tried them out and I don't know, I think I could have my work cut out for cutting out in oak. But there we are. We might have to be, might be a good thing. Perhaps we'll have to do some research, looking into different blades and seeing what is out there, what's best. So maybe it'll be inspiration for another video. Another video that we are going to look at as well is the benefits of the scroll saw for the wood carver. So a lot of our projects, the cutting out is done on the scroll saw. And what it does, it gives us a basic profile to work from. So the scroll saw is a really handy bit of kit, depending on the type of wood carving you're interested in and the type of wood carving that you do. You can see again, we've used the stop cuts. And for any beginners again, you can see there we use the reverse angle to cut out, and there we use the normal angle of the gouge. So those are two different ways. So on this side, we can cut using the reverse angle, and on this side, we cut using the reverse angle. There we are. So we got bees on this particular design. So we're just going to get some detail on the body of the bee. And where we got to be careful on this particular design, we have the legs, very delicate, quite a delicate little design, the bees on this one. And what we're doing, we're working in layers. So we're deciding what part of the carving is going to get pushed back and what part of the carving is going to be brought out. So some bits are going to be pushed back in the design and some bits are going to be brought out. It's just basically building up different layers. So when we go onto the wings, this is going to be the front wing. So that will be further forward. And this one here is going to be the back wing. So I'm going to separate them out using that stop cut and then immediately start pushing the back wing behind in the carving. So we create that layer where we just push it back. Now, since we've been in Spain as well, it's always good. You get that time where thinking of different things. So some of the stuff we got coming up, we're going to do. Well, here everyone's heading back to school at the moment, so we're going to do a bit of a back to school video, suggesting a few scroll saw projects that might be suitable, excuse me, for schools. And what else have we been doing? We've been doing a few videos editing while we've been away. We've got some different stuff coming up. We'll have our Christmas one coming soon. Oh, my beekeeper of 5 years. Oh no. Oh dear, you've lost your beekeeper. We're very fortunate here. It's my brother Matt. He's our beekeeper. And he's had a decent year this year. Not his best season, but nowhere near his most difficult season. So always good to have positive results. So he's in the process of extracting the honey and preparing the bees for winter. But I was out in the garden. It's a nice day here. Sun is shining, and I was out in the garden checking it, and yeah, they were happy bees out there flying about on all the flowers. Still seem to be a bit about for them to bit of forage for them. So you can see now we're going on to the flower, and of course this is where the scroll saw comes in really really useful, really handy, is that we cut out that basic profile. Of course, at other times, we mark the profile of the flower ourselves. But it's this particular one, we've cut that profile using the scroll saw. So again, for wood carvers, might be useful. Another little tip, just to mark it out using the scroll saw. So cut that basic profile, ready to... I'm trying to find a new one, but it's going to take some time. Yeah, it's... you've got to get the... Yeah, it's one of those things, you've got to get the right... You've got to get the right beekeeper. Those bees, they're so important. Here, it's always a... Not... it's not that it's a difficult area, but it's not straightforward for beekeeping because we have quite a bit of rain. So that's the disadvantage here. So when we're out in Spain, I'm always fascinated because there's so many bees around and it's such a good climate for the bees. So when we're out in Spain, you can see them all on the girasols, the sunflowers, and there's plenty for them to forage. So now these little bits here, where we're working on the bees' legs, they're very delicate, so we've got to be conscious of those. I've actually thickened up the legs a little bit on my original drawing because you've always got to be thinking of practical things, and as much as possible you've got to be looking to give your design enough strength to cope with it. Yeah, that's fine. There's Thomas the woodcarver here. There we are. You've selected your own spoon.
Okay.
Yeah. That's great.
No, I didn't do that, surely.
Yeah, you did. Look at that. Thomas the woodcarver has got I can tell from the stand. He's got a choice of 3 spoons he's shown me, 2 carved by me and 1 carved by himself, and he's chosen the 1 carved by himself.
Well,
great. No, it's nice.
One,
that's great. I go for that.
I'm for a thinner one.
No, that's great. No, I agree with you. Go with that one. I'm only teasing you. You didn't say pronounce that to everyone here.
Yes, pronounce that. Good afternoon.
Go with the one you said, did? Seriously.
Okay.
I'm only winding you up. Yeah, so there's a Lovespoon order from somebody we know. One of the companies involved in bringing visitors to Wales and different parts of the UK. So we're just sorting out a spoon for them. And he gave me 3 choices. And I think he made a nice selection. So you can just see, we always like it when the paper starts coming off the design and you start to see the wood underneath, but also the different parts of the carving itself. So what I'm doing is I'm using a lot the reverse angle. So instead of cutting out in a conventional way, I'm using the back of the blade just to cut out, just to shape. Does a good job for us, see? You can just shape using the back of the blade. Just taking those bits out. Shaping the flower. And I enjoy carvings like this where you've got a lot of fine detail. It's challenging, admittedly, but when you've got that fine detail that you're working with, yeah, it allows you to really give the carving some nice character. Yeah, it's coming on nicely. So once we've done one of the bees as well, that then helps us out in terms of knowing how to carve the other ones. So it's all part of that process. This is the first time that I've done a bee in this style. A more sort of, what can we call it? This is more of a honeybee. And the previous occasions then I've done the bee, I've done what's known here as the Manchester bee a few times, and it's more on the style of the sort of bumblebees. But it's nice to carve something. It's a nice intricate design to have a little go at making. Now, other things then that's gone on in the workshop, we've got a bit of a one-off carving we've been asked to do. That's in the process of us finishing it off. So again, that video will be coming up soon. But it's quite an elaborate quite an elaborate carving, that one there that we're doing. It's actually a design. It's one of the few occasions that the design isn't one that we've done ourselves. It's one that a company has asked us to do. So what I basically did is to adapt the design slightly to suit our own carving style, but it's not actually our original idea, it's somebody else's. But I think it was a company who couldn't find many carvers here in Wales, so they asked us if we could make it. So that is another project we've been working on. And then of course we're on to bespoke spoons. And I know it's early days, but we're also looking then at a few, dare I say it, Christmas projects. I know in the US, of course, Halloween and in Ireland, Halloween is a bigger occasion than it is here in the UK. It's not something we've really ever done much with, but we might even throw in a scroll saw video in and around there. Not that I filmed anything, but I'll have to have a think of a few ideas that are suitable. We're actually booked now as well with the bespoke spoons for several months. So right up until the end of, well, definitely until the end of the year, probably until the end of January. There we go. So you can just start to see some of those shapes coming out, and they're all the work that we're doing is all based on those simple principles, those simple basic principles of carving, working with the grain, marking out the stop cuts, and you really can't beat it. When you have a nice piece of wood to carve, yeah, you can't beat it. It really is a fantastic process. There we are. So what I'm going to do, we're going to use this one, different shape gouge again, and just mark out the front of the trumpet, just like so. So we're just cutting out that front of the trumpet like so, and then we do a little bit of detail on each of the petals at the back. When it comes to Lovespoons then as well, the different symbols, you have different meanings with them. So for instance, we've got flowers on here, so the idea, you hope love will blossom or continue to blossom. Years ago we got asked for an interpretation for a beehive.
That's for posting, obviously, yeah?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's for packing and posting. So we're sorting as well through orders here at the workshop. Whilst we were away, it was a little bit busier than it has been, but now we're back. It's building up stock and making things for the future. Now I'm going to push these legs just down a little bit further, creating different levels, but we've got to go ever so carefully because these parts of the design, they are extremely delicate. So it's just to create another layer and another level. It's interesting actually. I do quite a bit of work on, when it comes to sort of designing and things like that, I work on Photoshop now. Before that, I worked on Paint Shop Pro. And it's interesting how the different skills required for the job that we do and then working on something like Photoshop, how they come together, because a lot of the projects that I do, even simple things like the thumbnails for videos, of course you've got to build them up in layers, and then those skills with the carving, they're sort of transferable, so you get used to working in layers and developing a picture in a layer. So it's amazing how some of the skills that we learn as a wood carver, how they can help out in the more modern worlds when you're doing things like you know, everything from working with Photoshop and Premiere Pro as well we work with, so some useful skills. Also useful for anyone sort of starting out on YouTube to know, that's, yeah, for ourselves, those are the programs that we work in. Premiere Pro and Paint Shop. Photoshop, sorry. Also, I use Lightroom and things like that as well, but Photoshop and Premiere Pro would be the two main ones. Yeah, nice project this one. I'm enjoying carving this one here. So we're just going to sand them out a little bit, and I'm going to add a few little bits of details to our two different flowers. And to tie in as well from yourselves stateside, this one is going to it's going out to the US. I can't remember where exactly, but it's an order that somebody's asked us to do. These parts of the designs are more what we're used to doing, although I've never carved the bee before, but now I've carved one, I can see that it's going to be the bee's going to be a nice one to do, because we've got a few more to carve. So all I do with the daffodil, as always, just a few little lines of detail, just like so. And then with the flower, again, just a few little markings inside. So we're going to go one like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a number 5. Just like so. And then this bit, you're just going to take that out. There we are. Now the one thing I would say, we've got to have a... Are we going to put a little... This might work, this might not. I'm not sure. Not sure. What it is, we've got to put some sort of eye on there, and it may be... That may be a bit big. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Let's have a little look. Yeah. We might adapt that, but that's all part of carving. Sometimes you look at it and think, no, we're going to change that later. Right, now I'm going to jump onto, and probably something for beginners that you shouldn't really do, but this one here is in my head. Most of it should be straightforward, but this is a like an origami crane, they refer to this as. But I know the difficulty I've got with this one is this little bit here, because it's going to be creating like a two-dimensional image, a three-dimensional image when we're working in 2 dimensions. So I know that bit of the design has to be pushed right back. So that's what we're going to try and work on, is to create that idea of pushing this one right back. Got to be careful as well, because of course we're going, you know, we're working slightly across the grain, not against it, but we need to be delicate here, for instance. And what we'll do, you know, we're just going to create that effect that those arms are sort of coming out at an angle. Hopefully it'll work out, but this is an unusual carving for us to take on. But always up for a challenge, something different. And so we're going to just try and get that shape. What it is again is coming back to that, what I've been talking about, levels, layers. And so I know I need to drop that part of the design right back. And it's the same. This little bit here has to be dropped right back. It's quite a lot of depth we need to get on it. Let's have a little look. It's basically where the wing of the crane is behind the main body of the carving. So until I got that level quite far down, then we can't really go on to anything else. We can't really sort of progress the design. Let's have a look. Yeah, I think we're getting somewhere in terms of a level. That should be coming out okay. And it's the, I don't know, what would you describe it as? Almost like sort of geometric shapes. So not a straightforward one, this one. Hopefully, basically, what it is, the concern in my head is so it actually looks like what it's supposed to be. So that's the concern that I have, is making sure that it does look like what it is supposed to be. Hopefully it will. We will do our best. There we are. Thomas the woodcarver is in the background here. He was just checking everything. But you're busy packing love spoons there, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
And we've had a busy morning here because there's been some filming going on, and we've had a few orders on the weekend as well, so we got those going out. We're basically catching up a little bit after we've been away. Nice to go away, but then you've got to catch up on the things that you haven't had time to do. Now I'm thinking this bit here, sort of, if I mark out all of the, what I'm going to do, I'm going to mark out all of the lines, and then we're going to come, yeah, we're going to change gouges because it's this front wing now. We need to get that roughly, we need to get that right. I think that's going to be, that's basically what it is. I'm building up the carving. There's certain things that I would suggest are more critical. And so this is what you find when you know, if you're interested in carving, if you're learning carving, you sort of build up your different carvings. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get everything perfect first time. So I may end up recarving it to get it right. So this has obviously got to go back. This too, I would suggest, needs to be more. Sometimes as well, you know, when it comes to methods, unfortunately I can't do origami, but I think what would actually help if you're doing a carving like this one is to have the physical object in front of you. Because I mean, we're all different, and you know, visual aids I always find are a really good way of learning things. So that's why, you know, that's why we do a lot of YouTube, is to demonstrate methods.
Somewhere along the lines, Dave, we've got a paper template of one that we did.
Oh, there we are. Dad's just saying now there's a paper template of one somewhere. But it's an interesting carving, this one, because it's I don't know, what would you call it? Is it sort of geometric shapes? So it's just different to the style. A lot of what we're doing is more, for want of a better word, a lot of what we do is more artistic, isn't it? Is it artistic impressions? As with something like this, you know, it has to look right. That's what we basically get. That's what I'm getting at. I'm off the top of my head, I'm not 100% which bits to push back and which bits to bring out. But as I said, you can use visual aid. Google's fantastic. If you do searches on Google, you can get images and things like that. But this one's slightly different from like a Google image, because it's more of a three-dimensional geometric shape, that sort of thing. I think that's right to describe it in that way. What I want to do, see, is to create the effect that that wing is sort of going through the design itself. So we sort of carve it back at like a 45-degree angle. Just saying this one needs pushing back, I think. It's progressing, that's the thing. It is coming together. Maybe this one needs to go more like that, so we get that shape again. It's basically, it's coming back to what we're saying. It's levels, layers, and it's creating. We're trying to create an effect of the image being almost sort of three-dimensional. I think this bit needs to be pushed back. And so it's using angles to create something that sort of is and isn't there. Let's have a little look. Is it coming together? That's the burning question here. Is the carving coming together? Are we happy with it? Because if we're not, then we have to adapt. I'm going to call in Thomas the woodcarver to have a quick check for me. Second opinion.
Ooh, what are we looking at, Dave?
Does that look like the crane?
What's it supposed to be?
It's an origami crane.
You mean a crane as in a bird?
I would suggest so, yeah. It's this is the problem. You're dealing with two Welsh woodcarvers who don't know what the origami crane looks like. I know I've seen them, but what they do see is they fold them. It's folded paper, see? Thomas the woodcarver. I'm gonna have to explain what origami is to Thomas the woodcarver.
Yeah, I think I know.
It's
If I put my mask on, would it look different then?
maybe. I'm thinking
I put my mask on for you.
Thomas the woodcarver thought. What are you thinking? We got the basic shapes. It's just knowing whether that level, for instance,
I
he's
got a
pushing
song
down.
there. I got a song now. It's giving. It's
You've got a song.
yeah. Well, it's reminding me of a song, isn't it? This.
What's your song?
Come on, baby, let's do the twist. Is it a bird? Remember that one?
I think it is a bird, isn't it? Here we go. Help us out here. Is it an origami bird? Is it? I'm sure it was a crane that they asked for. Apparently it's well known, just not by Welsh woodcarvers.
Come on, baby, let's do the twist.
We've got Chubby Checker in the background now.
Come on, baby.
So all I'm going to do now, see as well, we're just going to shape around. And the reason I do a lot of this, that's my style of carving, but I always think it finishes it off nicely and it kind of frames the carving that we're doing. So we just sort of frame it to finish it off nicely. Same again here. So what we're doing, we're putting that sort of inside a heart. So it's the same as those basic principles. You're doing your stop cuts. So cut down into the woods. This time I'm using the mallet. Gives us a little bit of extra pressure. Cut down into the wood like so. And for a first demonstration back, yes, the crane. There we are. Sawyer Rob's told us, yes. That's good enough for me. Must be on the right track. Thank you, Sawyer Rob. Now for a demonstration back, this has worked out great in terms of it's a nice piece of wood. A nice piece of wood to work in. And that's a big part of it. If you're learning, if you want to develop your wood carving skills, big part of everything with what you're doing, you have to enjoy it. Nice process.
Can I interrupt you, Dave?
You can indeed.
Something different. It's only a little tip for everybody. This is, just...
What, you don't press any buttons?
Sorry,
That's right.
don't
That's
press
right.
any buttons. It's a question of don't spoil the ship with an 8-bit tar.
Yeah.
Or play an 8-bit tar.
Yeah.
We got the Lovespoon. I'm gonna.
So we are. So Yelly, my wife, has packed that, and
Okay.
she's packed that for us.
Yeah. We just to show everybody
There we are.
how it may be. No, you can leave that there for a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, leave that there. It may seem like a lot, but that's a solid piece of oak now to go.
So we put
on
that.
top.
We put that inside the box.
We then wrap it with
Tissue
tissue
paper.
paper again. It goes in. In fact, what I'll do, I'll wrap it so it
Goes in the box.
I see the next stage being wrapped.
So it just gives you an idea of, you know, how many different, what processes we go through then in terms of packaging. You're going to trip over a wire. You are.
Yeah, okay. So there's the packaging, look. We're folding it round.
Once again.
Okay. Packing it, packing it. Now that will fit in our box.
So it goes into the presentation box. Now see, I would put it in like that because it looks tidier when people open the box up. So
So that goes there.
there we
And
are.
then that'll be closed up and that'll be covered again with brown paper. However, it's solid. You've got that bit of wood that's solid inside. That's the point I'm making. You know, you can go through the extreme of making your love spoon. They're fairly solid,
Well, it wouldn't.
but there's always a chance that going through the post,
They can get broken.
somebody
we
could
do-
try and bend it or something like. So we always put a solid block of wood in there to make sure that nobody tries to bend it.
Yeah.
If it drops on the floor, it would hit that bit of wood before it hit the point of the spoon. I know it's.
No, it's something we've talked about on the different live streams
Yeah.
a number of times, and it's an important thing where, you know, in terms of you've got to protect your work, and if you're posting stuff, well, I know we've spoken about it with the carver, with the wood burning warrior as well. You know, in terms of packing stuff, yeah, you've got to get it right because it gets expensive. You've got to make things twice.
It is. You know, it's.
Thankfully, that's something that we've managed to avoid over the years.
So far, yeah.
Is you know, we've had a few, you know, we've had the odd one, but we do spend a lot of time. We spend a lot of time in terms of packaging and getting stuff right on that front because it is the one thing that we have zero control over other than choosing
And then you've
who
got
to send
the
it with.
finished packaging.
There you go. So there's the finished box. I'll check. No, there's nobody. I'll put the. There we are. So you can see we
And it's
prepare the box.
Do you also put now fragile on it?
Yeah.
It's a difficult one because if you put fragile on it, you know, is the person that's the post person then, you know, are they going to be reasonable or are they going to be?
I've got to say the couriers and the postal service we use, they do a good job.
Yeah.
We've only, I think, in all the time we've been sending love spoons, I think I can only think of one occasion of a love spoon not resurfacing eventually.
It's an interesting question though for people. Would they put fragile on their post?
To put fragile or not to?
Is that?
I find this
yeah.
online. According to Japanese legend, if you fold 1,000 origami cranes, you will be granted one wish. Wow. There we are. A little bit of background information on the... How many have I got a carve before I got a wish? Eh?
And what would be the wish at the end of the day?
If I got to carve 1,000, if I got to carve 1,000 of them, my wish would be never to carve another one again. I think after 1,000 cranes, I'd have had my fill. We'll have to find out what the Japanese think with that one there. How many cranes have I got to carve to get a wish?
Going back to that question, Dave, what do people say? Would they put fragile on their parcel?
I don't know. We put it to everyone. Would you put? Do you think we should put fragile on the package or no? Because sometimes we do and sometimes we don't we? Part of it, I tell you what, we do make a decision on is sometimes the distance that it's got to travel. Now I'm just looking. If you're wondering why I've stopped and I'm just paused looking. I'm just trying to work out what it is. I want to create that effect that wing is sort of at an angle coming through, that continues. So that's what I'm working out at this moment in time, is how that angle, how it sort of goes. So that needs to push back. Similarly, that needs to go in there. I've re-established that stop cut, but the end, here we are. Where's my gouge gone? There it is, drop down there. This end, we need that coming in more at an angle. It's just creating an effect. Yeah, just to explain what I'm trying to do. I want it to look as if that wing is continuous. And at the moment, the front wing is a bit high and the back wing is a bit deep. So I'm trying to create that effect. And I need to keep pushing this back and pushing it back. So it just creates an effect of the wing being continuous throughout the design. One thing that might help actually is because I've shaped the front part, the front wing, and I haven't shaped the back wing. So if we kind of do that, that might help us as well. Yeah, so you can see we're just dropping that level down. I'm thinking that angle has got to just come down a little bit further. We have a line. We have a line for this one here. So again, this part will have to be pushed back. It's just working out how to get the best effect, and as well, it's getting the best effect with the minimum hassle and the minimum fuss. Again, this one can just go in like so. And we're just building it up until we get to a stage where we're happy with the finished design. The one bit I'm not sure about is less so the wings, but it's this piece. It's this piece here, the middle piece. Ah, right. I'm starting to see it now. Okay, I've started to see it. I'm working out, as I'm doing the carving, I'm starting to see how you do the paper folds. So now we've got that angle better. What it is as you start to change angles, you start to see other bits. So I'm thinking that this piece needs to be dropped further down into the wood. Because that is and that's what you're working out with this, angles, angles, angles. That's what it's all about. And lastly, in Japanese mythology, this crane is known as the Honourable Lord Crane, and its wings carried souls up to heaven. Ah, now that is very interesting in terms of, because we're wondering, we get asked to carve all sorts of different things. And you get asked to do things, and sometimes we're left wondering, why are we carving this on a Lovespoon? But that, with that being the significance of this particular, there's obviously a little bit of a story and a message that was wanted to be told through this Lovespoon. That's the beauty of the tradition. Tells stories, tells messages, and it can be completely unique and individual. Now I've adjusted that wing, I reckon, yeah, I think this tail needs to come further down. just like so. It's basically just working on each angle and each bit to get them to create more of a three-dimensional feel whilst we're working in 2 dimensions. But in this carving, I'm helped by the fact that it's a lovely piece of wood that we're working in, and that helps a lot. Good sharp tools, good quality woods makes the difference. And it has been fascinating, as always. We learn more through the live streams than we probably help others, because having that insight into the crane and things like that, it's always great to know a bit of the background on what we're carving. I'm thinking of calling Thomas the woodcarver and just having a little look. What you reckon, Dick?
What's that there?
How's it looking now? See, what I've tried to do is to create that more of an effect that's going through. I think we're nearly there with it.
Yeah, it's not bad, is it? Yeah.
There we go. High praise indeed. Not bad.
Yeah. I like the overall effect there, I must admit. Yeah.
Because you think it's got to be. It's basically, this is where you're sometimes working a bit blind.
Yeah, but it's a lovely design with the bees and the.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah, I
the
do like the.
Play.
Yeah, I like the idea, and I enjoyed.
Is it too late to put the price up?
Hey.
Is it too late to put the price of it up?
It is a bit. What I'm working on, basically what it is, whenever you're doing anything, you have to give yourself a bit of a direction and an idea with what you're doing. So I know when we're doing a live stream, it may seem as if we're sort of just randomly trying things, but in my head, what I'm thinking is that this is paper folding. So when you fold paper, you get sort of extreme lines. That's what creates the effect. So I'm trying to create that paper folding effect whilst I'm carving. So I'm conscious of that paper, how it would be folded, how it would sort of have the angles on the paper as I'm carving it. So that's what I'm trying to create the effect of. And all in all, yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I think this bit could go. I'll tell you what I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to pick maybe a square gouge just to pick off a little bit more, just like so. Yeah, at this stage, the level I've got to there, I don't want to fiddle around with that too much more. I would like to basically shellac it, see how it comes up. Because I don't want to fiddle around with it too much, because you can end up causing yourself a problem at this stage. So that's another little bit of learning wood carving, knowing when enough is probably enough. And that's a judgment thing. Because quite often you can end up fiddling around with it too much and it goes wrong. Good afternoon, Dances with Hardbacks. Thank you for joining us. Thinking your previous name, I think, was it previously known as Midnight Joker? You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that was your previous name. Thank you for joining us. We're back after our month off.
What do you mean, our month off?
Well, sorry, Thomas the Woodcarver's shouting at me here. He hasn't had a month off. It's myself who's been away for a month. It's myself and my wife, we've been away with her family in Spain. I did manage to find Wi-Fi, as I was previously explaining, but I forgot one of my cables, so that was the start and end of my live stream. Right, so you can see we're well on with the design. We've done a bee. We've got two bees and a flower to finish this one off. And again, start off with the stop cuts. Yes, indeed. There we are. We got it right. So you can see we're just going to separate the wings again. So you use a stop cut to separate them. The back wing, we push it back out the way. So the top wing is going to be our higher layer. And this is where, as I said, transferable skills, Photoshop, how it helps us with these sorts of processes, because you're working in layers, and it's taught me different things in how to build up a picture, but that then transfers across in terms of wood carving and vice versa. So wood carving helps me learn things like working on Photoshop and Paint Shop Pro in layers, but also it works the other way where where working on those things helps with the wood carving too. So you can see we push that back wing back. We then start to work on our stripy bee. So we do the stop cuts there, and we will use the reverse angle to do some of the cutting out. Interesting to know as well, what we haven't asked everybody, any projects you're working on? We put it out there to everyone. Are you working on anything interesting? You got any commissions? Got any requests? Or any projects you're working on for yourself? I'm on a, I always enjoy on a Facebook, there's a Facebook forum that, group, sorry, not a forum, that I get in, that I follow a little bit, and that is free scroll saw patterns. Always enjoy watching what things people are making. It's fascinating, the different projects that people take on. Seen a few coming up now, Christmas ones and Halloween ones, things like that. So always great to see other people's work and to know what everybody else is working on. So yeah, let us know if you're working on anything special at the moment. Now here again, we've got to go ever so slightly delicately here, because that front leg is ever so slightly delicate. One thing I enjoy is taking macro photos, and the bee, I love seeing the bees up close. They've actually got little hooks on their legs. So when they, if you've ever wondered how they sort of hold on to a flower in the wind as it's moving about, they've got little hooks on their legs, and it's always fascinating to see them up close with the macro photography, with the macro lens, with those little hooks hooked on the flower. So you can see the legs, we push them back to a lower level. So we just drop the legs behind the body. There we are. Yeah, any projects you're working on, let us know, because it's fascinating to see what everybody else is doing and to hear what you're working on. We've got a few videos coming up as well, because as some of you may know, we've worked with Starbond super glues, and they do coloured super glues, and that's always good.
I'll tell you something,
different effects.
People may be interested in about what we were working on this morning, Dave.
Right.
The fact that we were using,
yeah, this morning,
Jara or Yara,
yeah,
however you pronounce it.
Jara is the Australians always told me when they came in the workshop.
We won't give the background as to why we were doing it, but if you could just explain that, I didn't know, Dave, that I knew that Jara or Yara came into our country about 100 years ago and was used as
an Australian wood, isn't it?
Yeah, and I knew it was used as sleepers.
Railway sleepers.
Especially on the crossing where there was an extra, you had vehicles crossing plus the train.
I thought it was on the points because it was harder wearing.
Well, it would have been there.
There we are. Basically, wherever they needed a sleeper that was going to have more wear and tear, basically, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, what I didn't know.
Yeah.
This must be true, because in London, right, about 200 years ago, they put Jara or Jara blocks, right, actually on the road,
right,
because the horse and cart, right?
Okay.
As they were pulling the carts, it was very noisy on the cobbles and the stone. So they experimented with Yarra blocks
So is it less noise?
to reduce the noise. Apparently, this was one of the reasons for it.
Right.
And in certain parts, in somewhere in London now, they've kept a road with, you know, that had these blocks, a little section.
Jara blocks on them. Sawyer Rob, my project is cutting enough firewood to keep my butt warm in the winter. Good, good. It's a job that's got to be done.
You know, it just shows how fascinating, interesting the
Wood is
so interesting.
I'll tell you a few wood stories before we finish our live stream from Spain. We managed to get hold of some chestnut and some walnut from Del Bierzo in the north of Spain. One of the most fascinating places I've been, and it's all linked in with the Spanish kings and queens. We went to a place, I haven't told you this one, so I will share this with you as well as everybody else. We went to a place called Burgo de Osmo. And this is apparently something that's quite common in Leon. And I've never seen it here myself. Whoops. The carver's just joined us. Hello. Thank you for joining us. Glad you've made it. We're well on with this one here. Shane, I'm currently working on a walking stick with a wood spirit on the one side. Shamai, sorry. I thought you said Shane, sorry. My bad. Shamai Ben. Walking stick with a wood spirit on the side and on the top and now on the other side. And the Celtic band Spirea Blaneck. That sounds like a project and a half, Ben. Fair play to you. That sounds like quite the project. You've got a bit of everything in there. How many hours are you anticipating? Sounds like a few. It's a lovely project, huh? Yeah, we were in Burgo de Osmo. And I've never seen it before. The houses, well, not the houses, the streets, they were all sort of stone, and the pillars, as I looked at them, I thought, oh, they are, yeah, standard sort of stone pillars. They weren't, they were all wood. Big, strong wood pillars. So yeah, I'd never seen that before. So a new one for myself. In Burgo de Osmo. If anyone's ever in Spain, in the Soria area, well worth a visit to see all the buildings with all the wood structures. And they'd have all of this sort of stonework and things like that, and then these wood pillars supporting it all. Fantastic material, though, wood. Interesting to know from the carver. What are you working on at the moment? Anyone hasn't seen it? There was a beautiful project you were working on recently with the fox. Very popular it's proved too. Glad to see. Last time I checked, it had over 200 likes on it. So anyone looking at interested in different aspects of carving, have a check that one out on social media from the carver. Do you know, I've just noticed something. Well. I didn't do that on purpose at all. I've looked at this bee wing. Can anybody else see it? Look, there's little hearts. I'll turn it around so you can see it more easily. You see? You've got little hearts on there. Well. That was not, that's a happy accident, that is. That is a happy accident. I did not do that on purpose. Well, saying that, I designed this 2 months ago. Cleaning at the moment. Oh, it's got to be done. Constantly cleaning. Hope all's going well with it. I need to get designing on some new things. I want to get some more projects. We've got more projects that we want to start working on between now and Christmas. So we've got our one video done, but I got some different ideas that I'd like to work on. One video that I want to focus on is why wood carvers should buy a scroll saw, which of course the carver would know where we're coming from with that one. Oh, and interestingly now, just explaining, we're having some problems with the blades. We've ordered some Nikwa, well, we've got some Nikwa number 9 reverse tooth blades, but they're different. And we're looking at them, then they're not the same as our normal ones, because we can't get them from our normal supplier. So I don't know what's happened. The ones that we've got, basically, they're multi-purpose, aren't they, dude? The ones that we've got. I tell you what I noticed as well, we've got these new ones and they look more like the ones that we normally use. I think they're described as what they call skip tooth. There's more of a gap between each tooth of the blade.
Well, to be perfectly honest, they look to me like a substitute.
Right.
You know?
You reckon they're dumbing down their process?
Well,
the main difference I see between the ones we usually use and the other ones in terms of the packaging, the ones that we've got now, it says wood, plastic, and all these different things, as the ones we normally use say wood.
Well, we can normally rely on German products.
Yeah.
But there's now a question mark.
Sounds good on Ben's project there. Yeah,
there's a question mark now on German products.
This is interesting.
Why can't we get
the blade that we want?
You know, and we've been recommending people to get these blades.
And that's we recommend. And now all of a sudden, our recommendation kind of goes out the window because the blades that they sent us are not as good. I mean, we had no choice because the supplier has stopped supplying them. And so we had to go on eBay to get some, and what we've been sent is not as good as what we used to, basically.
I'll have a look. I'll bring them back in and see what it said exactly on them.
I work with them. They'll do the job, but not as well. So, bit frustrating for us, really. It's interesting, as Dad was saying, what's going on with manufacturing, because the company that I buy the inkjet cartridges from, they rang me up and they're telling me that they're offering me deals to use their ones as opposed to the official ones. And I've always used the official ones. And basically the only reason that I have said, okay, I'll give them a go is because they guarantee if I have any problems and the quality's not up to it, they'll replace them. Sounds good, Ben, with that project, but yeah, definitely sounds like a lot of hours that you're going to have to spend on that particular one. Basically,
What did you do with the label, Dave? You tore the label off.
No, I never touched it.
Yeah, you did. You took that one off.
Oh, I cut it off.
Yeah.
I cut it off the top.
Where did you...
What's turned up as these ones here, it would be on the table there probably, wherever I cut it off it would be. They look very close, but then it's close, as they say in here on an old TV program where they used to guess what it was, and they'd say it's close, but it's not the one. And that's the thing. It's the same thing. They're very close to what we want, but they're not the ones. So we might be doing some videos soon where we're trialing different blades, because scroll saw performance is absolutely essential to us. We can't be messing about with them. We need it cutting perfectly. And it's the same because we recommend other people. Not good. The only thing I think we might have to do is try and get in contact with the Nikwa in Germany itself and see if we can get some directly from the factory. But something has happened, unfortunately. Close but no cigar, that's the one. Spot on. Close but no cigar. Yeah, it's a bit frustrating because we recommend those blades and we've always worked with those. I mean, of course, yeah, there was a time when we tried different ones, and at different times we've tried different ones, but we've always stuck with the ones that do the job. And then all of a sudden we contact our supplier, it says out of stock, and they're saying, oh, we're probably not going to stock them again, and all this sort of thing. It's extremely frustrating because we just want the product that does the job for us. And if they're not going to sell it, then we'll have to look elsewhere. But I'll throw it open to anyone. Blade suggestions, we're open to any suggestions you might have. What do you use? What works for yourselves? We're in the market to find some new ones. So you can see this one well on with the detail. Nearly finished off with our bee and our flower. But it's still those basic principles. Stop cuts. Using the stop cut as a barrier. Carving out the details. And away you go. That bit there, oh that needs to come down a bit. Dad's disappeared looking for that piece of paper. It's disappeared because I was eager to have a look at them, and unfortunately when I did look at them, the packaging was different and it's not quite what we would want. But interestingly, the packaging that they were advertising was not. Have you found it?
Nope, I got this packet, but
well, interestingly, the packaging, when I looked at it on the delivery, you know, that when you look at the packaging, it's different to what we normally get. Because I don't have as much experience with the scrolls, so I can't tell a good blade. Yeah, from a bad one, as well as you can. Yeah, it's just frustrating because we've used that blade for so long. It's 20 years we've been working with those, isn't it? And then to suddenly have that problem is a bit frustrating, but there we are. We shall overcome it. So you can see did you notice as well on this, the wings, I didn't notice it until now, look at the wings on the bees, they're little hearts. When I designed it, I can't remember if I did that on purpose or not. Can you see them?
yeah, it's good.
But I don't think I did that on purpose. I think it was a complete accident.
Sure, I didn't draw that bit.
No, you didn't.
No.
100%. So what we're going to do now, just get these different levels with the bee. And that will pretty much be that particular project. This is a good example as well for how having a nice piece of wood to do the project, what a difference it can make. This is a beautiful piece of mahogany to carve, and it's been an absolute pleasure to work with.
That's an interesting twist though on you know, a bad workman blames his tools, you know that one?
Okay.
It's not absolutely correct, like, is it? Because
well, we know the blade that will do the job for us, and if we can't get hold of it,
that's a classic example.
But
you've had
well, for instance, we can still do the job with those blades. But oh, I missed in the middle there. Hello, Aubrey. Nice to see you. Yeah, we're back live. We've had a bit of a summer break. Well, I've had a bit of a summer break. Before Dad corrects me, he hasn't had a summer break. Yeah, but we're back live and carving. So glad everyone has joined us. Thank you all again for joining us. We really do appreciate it. So we're back doing some carving, some bees and some flowers and an origami crane at the top, which we will show everybody now. Yeah, you are right. It is the old adage, isn't it? The bad workman blames his tools, but at the end of the day, if you've got a good saw blade and you can't get it any longer, it doesn't help, does it? We're finding this more and more where it's not straightforward. I know my friend, he's been having a lot of trouble. He uses the Swedish pine. He's having problems getting hold of it now. So yeah, it is one of those things, isn't it? A bad workman blames his tools, but if you're used to working with a good tool and you get given a bad tool, does make a difference.
Well, yeah, it's, you know.
I mean, what I'm working out is that if we can't get hold of those blades, I think we need to find another solution to the ones that we bought, because that's going to take me, what I'm working out, how many hundreds of hours do we spend working on the scroll saw every year? And now I'm going to have to spend a few hundred more. Well, it just doesn't doesn't make sense, does it? It doesn't make... You cannot justify working with an inferior blade. We're going to have to find something better. But there we are. From experience, quite often these things, when they happen, we end up with something better than we had in the first place. So we'll be doing our research, and hopefully we will get hold of either the same blades or better ones. I can feel a video coming up on trialing blades. Basically, to describe the one, the way I would describe the one that we currently work with, the nickel reverse tooth blades, I think it's not just reverse tooth, I think it's skip tooth as well. So I don't think that, because with the skip tooth, the blades, the teeth are a little bit more spaced out. And so because they're more spaced out, I don't think they clog as easy. And they're slightly bigger than the blades on the one we've been doing. The story from our supplier though, isn't it that they're going to continue doing the number 7? Yeah. They're going to continue doing the number 11. And then they're not going to supply the number 9. And basically, what we were trying to get across to them, we recommend them on YouTube. And the reason we recommend them is because the number 9 can do the fine detail that the number 7 can do. But it's also got the strength to do what the number 9 does. So why do you need a number 7 and a number 9? I guess from the manufacturer's point of view, they're just thinking they can sell more, because you're going to need both blades. But that's our thoughts on it. It's just that perfect balance of strength and precision. So why change it? Right, got a little bit of paper left on that one. And that is the gist of this carving. I got some work just around the outside, just to finish it off. So we've got some details to do around the outside. Here comes my my wife here. My wife is still in Spanish mode. That's why you can hear her coming in shouting. There we are. She's just coming in the workshop here to do some help out with some packaging there. Are you going to say hello to everyone, Yelly?
Hello.
There you go. I've zero experience with scroll saw, but it's possible to. Is it possible? No, with the scroll saw, they're very much sort of throwaway blades, and what happens is you work with them for so long, and then they're basically gone.
Well, they snap, don't they?
And they snap, yeah, they do snap. And in terms of sharpening, yeah, very difficult because they're so fine. So it's basically not possible. What we would do, we would buy a gross, it's a gross they call it, isn't it? 144?
Yeah.
Is that right, dude? A gross 144?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we buy a gross of them and use them. And then as they snap, or the other thing they do, we did a video on it, they sort of burn. So they go like a blue colour, or the ones we do, they do anyway. Hola Aubrey. Yeah. Aubrey, are you going to make a fretsaw table or bench peg? Kenny Earrings has a good video on making that. Ah, interesting. Yeah, basically in time they wear out and they burn, and that's what I noticed with the new blades. As I worked with them, straight away they were burning the projects as I was working on them. So I don't think they're going to be up to the job.
Well, I got a message for the company.
Yeah.
Because if they're not going to provide what we want, then we can go back to what we originally used, different blade altogether, without the reverse blade, because I work the back of the spoon anyway. The only reason we using those is because it helps. It doesn't split the wood on the back.
Yeah.
But I've been cutting the you know what I mean? I've been taking the
sharp end,
the sharpness off them anyway. So, you know, we'll go back to the fine blades that we were using before.
Yeah, the standard ones, but I think it's going to be the basis for a video where we
And at the end
do
of
a
the
bit
day,
of research.
you know, the company, they may think they're being sort of clever by using.
Well, I find it strange they're doing the 7, the 11, but not the in between.
Yeah.
Nothing as fancy as that. Just something to speed up a couple of carvings. I don't know when goes around in the workshop. Look for the video. Brilliant. Oh, all sounds good stuff. So we're just finishing off here a little bit. Just taking some of those edges off. The bulk of the carving then is done, as far as I'm concerned. So you can see, if I'll turn it round in a moment. We're just taking the sharp edges off here and here. I got to take the sharp edges off the heart. But all in all, that is well on its way. Shall I finish it off? Yeah, why not? We got everybody's joined us, which we're very grateful for. So let's finish off this carving. So I just got to shape the heart. So we're using that one there, which is an Addis. Yeah, it's a JD Addis made in Sheffield. Another. It's not large thing. All these you can use clamps on a work table. Sounds interesting. So we're just going to shape this heart just to finish off. I will turn it around as well for those who haven't seen the crane. What do you reckon? Should we put a bit of shellac on this one?
Okay, I'll get it for you now.
Just shaping across the top as well, just like so. There we are. Just shaping that like so. We turn it round in the vise and we shape it back the other way. Just a little bit like so.
Shellac.
Shellac, brilliant.
Bruce.
Brilliant.
There they are, dear. Just behind you, alright?
Just shape those ones. Great, thanks, Sid. Because afterwards, of course, we'll sand everything down. Take off the paper and any... Oh, thanks for joining us, Aubrey. Aubrey's away there. So we're just working just to cut a little bit down like so. Just going to join it up where we've cut it in the other direction. Just like so. We've done everything on the one side, and whatever we do on the one side, we're going to match it up on the other side. There we are. And let's have a little look. I reckon we're just what it is, we're matching up the depth on the one side to the other side, that's all. So let's just take a little bit more, just like so, balance it back out. And then a coat of shellac, just to see how everything's going to come up. I'm most interested now because we need to see how this crane, this origami crane, is going to come up for us. So we'll start off just a little bit of shellac on there. Too much on the brush, but not to worry. Somebody was asking me as well about shellacking on the site, and the shellac sanding sealer is a finish in its own right. And hello, Nico.
Hello.
Nico's here as well. The shellac sanding sealer, that's it, is a finish in its own right. I had somebody asking questions, and I think they thought that it had to be used with something different, but it's a finish in its own right. So.
Daddy, last time we done this, I had a splinter.
You had a splint? Oh dear. I haven't done one for a little while though, so that's a month ago. There we are. And that's the crane. Just like so. So just a coat of shellac. And it's always good then, because when you put that shellac on, you can see your carving.
Spain, I was on the park for a bit and I saw a splinter. I looked at that finger, which is, if anyone can see, it's this one here.
That's the one you had a splinter in?
Yeah.
Hang on. Is that still there? Is that it? You better go and check.
No, this is no, the splinter's gone.
Oh,
and
good.
I looked at that and the splinter went away. I saw there was this massive hole and I was like, Mummy, Daddy, the splinter's gone.
Oh, good. Right, there we are. So you can see we got our bees, we got our daffodil, we got our flowers, we got our crane. So we're well on. We've got a bit of finishing off, take off the paper, and there we go.
Wasp chasing me.
Thank you all again. Yeah, if that's interesting or useful, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. If it's been useful and you're new, don't touch that, Nico. You'll turn us off. Yeah, don't forget, subscribe, ring that bell if you're new here and it's useful to you. As always, to all of you who've come here, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate that. Just looking through all the comments. There we go. I can see all on there. Thank you as always for joining us. Midweek, I think we're going to do a school project. We're going to do a school project midweek, so that'll be our midweek one. And then next week, we'll do another demonstration. You all see? Thank you all. You're going to say thank you, Nico?
Thank you all.